Now at this point, when it comes to Drake, there is no longer any debate on the fact that this guy isn't just the biggest loser in all of rap right now. But really at this point, when it comes to the entire 50-year plus lineage that has defined hip-hop, we have never seen a more pathetic and embarrassing figure ever, because after confusing the entire world by withdrawing his petition about his label UMG faking streams to boost the success of Not Like Us, Drake has quickly followed things up by doing one of the most disgusting and shameful things someone who has ever called themselves a rapper ever could, as now beyond filing the most petty petitions possible. Once again, Drake has managed to outdo himself when it comes to looking like the most embarrassing figure that all of music has ever seen, as he just filed an official defamation lawsuit against UMG and Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us record, and obviously as this is something that even the biggest losers in rap beefs in the past have never done anything close to, what Drake is trying to do here isn't just a betrayal to the rules of competition in hip-hop and an admission that he truly isn't anything remotely like anyone else who has ever called themselves a rapper, but this moment more than anything else is marking what is going to begin the true downfall of Drake's career in every single way remaining. And now before we go any further into what this suit is saying and why it's the most embarrassing thing a rapper has ever done in the history of hip-hop, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with Drake. In this 81-page lawsuit, he is now going after his label UMG with, and of course is trying to change the entire perception of Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us with, which really, with all of the embarrassment Drake has caused because of this record at this point to his own image, he has more than proved that this isn't just one of the most impactful diss tracks ever, but it really is one of the most important songs in rap history, period. And now if you thought that Drake was reaching before this with his petitions that were trying to change the course of the most important rap beef ever at this point by using the word of other clowns like DJ Academics as fact, here things just get even more out of control, because beyond just the sad and pathetic reality of Drake becoming rap's first and biggest Karen, he is playing the victim card here in every way possible, as he is attaching himself to any identity he can possibly claim, which, just to butt in, considering the context of Not Like Us as a record and where it has brought us, is really just lifting up Kendrick Lamar's points even more. And of course, Drake is tapping into all of these different victim roles so that he can whine about the fact that the success of Not Like Us has ruined him in so many ways, and of course he can't accept that he lost the beef and he thinks that there was this larger plan to ruin him all along. And now really, throughout these 81 pathetic pages that symbolize Drake trading away his legacy in rap to solidify himself as the most pathetic figure who has ever even been inside of hip-hop, when you go through every claim, which is calling out Not Like Us and nearly every single aspect about it, from its bars, melody, and all of its success, all in ways that are so disparaging to not just the masterclass Kendrick Lamar put on in the beef, but overall the art form and skill required to be a great hip-hop artist as a whole. When you just read some of the absurd sentences that Drake somehow thought would win the people back on his side, this moment is really solidifying the time where Drake has separated himself from the rest of the rap world, because while this is directly going after his label and Not Like Us, in the bigger picture of it all, with the precedent he is trying to set and the claims he is making, this isn't just about a label or Kendrick Lamar, but what Drake is arguing is going against all of hip-hop's past, present, and future MCs and moments, because to even think about the things he put into writing here, you have to misunderstand hip-hop on literally every single level. And now out of all the people that could have done this, having it come from somebody who has considered themselves a rapper in the past, it just makes this betrayal to the entire culture all the more confusing. And no matter how you want to put it, ultimately, Drake is really the most anti-hip-hop person to ever be a part of this genre in any shape or form. And now really, with all of these claims Drake is making, no matter what the context and what facts can prove otherwise already, just from remembering the timeline of events that happened in this back and forth with Kendrick, at every chance possible, we just see example after example of Drake dodging accountability. Because really, before we even look any further into the ridiculous claims Drake is saying to make any sort of impact against Kendrick and his label here, let's just remember that the guy who is doing all of this is also the same person who was begging Kendrick to drop more and more music. And even if we go back to a record like Taylor Made Freestyle, he quite literally was setting himself up to get dissed about the things he is crying about here, and on a track like The Hard Part 6. He went even further as he rapped about how this was the angle that he expected. And now from the fact that the victim mentality Drake is playing here just does not align with the person he has portrayed himself to be before this back and forth with Kendrick for over a decade one bit, to also remembering the fact that Drake made just as and if not worse claims about Kendrick and his family on his record Family Matters. I mean, no matter how Drake tries to frame these narratives, there is no chance he ends up convincing anyone of a fraction of what he is saying here with these papers, especially when you go through the 81 pages and see that basic information, like stating where Kendrick Lamar is from is just wrong, as he is definitely not from Oakland. And now if you're making mistakes like these, it's really just very telling about the effort that Drake is really putting into this. And now even with Drake and his team misinterpreting the lyrics of Kendrick Lamar's diss track so badly that they are reaching to new levels that we have never seen, and really with some of the ways they try to twist the meaning of Not Like Us and its message, when you actually just sit there and process what they are trying to tell us, it's absolutely some of the most insane ways someone could ever misread rap lyrics, and especially from somebody who has actually been in the genre for as long as they have, and of course Drake. And now making this bigger than just Drake and Kendrick's beef even. In this time where the ability to read rap lyrics and interpret them as art or perceiving them as the full-on truth has never not just been more in question by people outside of hip-hop, but it's also never been more important, as even with people Drake considers good friends and of course YSL and everything that happened with them. Using the same logic that Drake is using here with what just went down there. If you applied what Drake is trying to get across, then the outcome that we ended up seeing would be completely different, and this is why beyond Drake being pathetic and petty in this beef, this is all just so bad for rap music because Drake is blurring the lines between creative expression like we have never seen it. And now with someone who has been considered one of the faces of hip-hop for over a decade now trying to remove the nuance and creativity from rap lyrics and seemingly try and push the narrative that everything being said is always literal, and if it's not, you have to go to these measures to prove it. Not just does this go against the rules of what every MC has ever known when they step into a booth or open up their notebook, but again, especially in the time we are at, this can really put hip-hop in a worse place than it ever has been, as now because of Drake's own ego and pettiness, he is trying to change the way rap lyrics have been crafted and perceived by fans and all of people for over 50 years. And now with the principle of this, beyond Drake just betraying every single rapper ever, and really at this point, every MC needs to see it like this, although we know of course not all will, Drake gets even more ridiculous with this suit by even going after content creators and streamers like Kai Cenat, as he said that their reactions to Not Like Us were all planned out by the label, and now with Kai specifically, as Drake literally called him and told him to stay on stream when Family Matters was about to drop. And now he is trying to say that Kai was always against him and he was in on this downfall of his career the entire time. Once again, Drake is showing just how fake of a person he is and how he is always trying to spin whatever narratives he can for his own gain, all while forgetting about the past conveniently. And really, the fact that even after making this entire thing official, the claims he is making directly contradicts his own actions from just a few months ago, you really just wonder why he would even make these claims if they can so easily be proven false. And now as the internet is clowning Drake, like even for his horrible standards they never have, because this is the lamest move in hip-hop history and it's not even close, the one thing Drake fans are trying to use to make this entire situation look like something it's not is by defending him through mentioning how Drake is trying to claim that Kendrick's track made his entire personal life, including his family's, a lot worse. And while even with the fact that the way these claims are written, it is very clear that Drake is obviously trying to gain sympathy any way he possibly can by trying to create some sort of emotional connection and reason for others to get just as mad as he is in the first place, again, if we hold Drake accountable for his actions, let's remember that he didn't just bring families into this thing first, and that Kendrick Lamar told him multiple times not to go this way, but then again, exposing the hypocrisy of Drake and how he only ever does things when it's convenient to benefit his own narratives. He can't try to play this angle now when it's convenient because he has clearly never cared about the consequences of making his entire life so public before. But he was also dragging people who, unlike Drake, who has made his entire personal life public, keep a low profile into the most watched back and forth in hip-hop history, which again is not just showing his disregard for the rules that him and Kendrick made in this beef, but is just showing that he is now complaining about something that he did even worse to other people. And so really, before even getting further into these claims, if we see that just by Drake constantly putting his family not just on his personal social media, but in music videos and even album covers in general, he can try to play this angle now when it's convenient because he has clearly never cared about the consequences of making his entire life so public before. And now making this situation already even crazier, UMG already responded to Drake by saying, "Not only are these claims untrue, but the notion that we would seek to harm the reputation of any artist, let alone Drake, is illogical. We have invested massively in his music, and our employees around the world have worked tirelessly for many years to help him achieve historic commercial and personal financial success. Throughout his career, Drake has intentionally and successfully used UMG to distribute his music and poetry, to engage in conveniently outrageous back and forth rap battles to express his feelings about other artists. He now seeks to weaponize the legal process to silence an artist's creative expression and to seek damages from UMG for distributing that artist's music. And as they also went on to tell Drake that they will be ready to prove that he really is in the wrong for doing all of this, it's clear that after Drake fans were running around before this saying that Drake won this entire thing and that his label were the ones who were scared, that couldn't be further from the truth. And now really, for everyone to be siding with a record label over an artist, it has never been more clear how wrong Drake is. And really, they had a perfect statement to him, because they are just putting Drake in his place by stating the obvious, which is that on every single Drake record since he has been in the game, he has been dissing other rappers and doing the same thing Kendrick did to so many different people in the past, and of course, Drake's disses over the years like Back to Back did indeed have irreversible effects on somebody like Meek Mill's career. But even for how made fun of somebody like Meek is these days, as no matter what happened in a beef, he still knew he was a part of and respected hip-hop as a very culture, he would never even think to do something like this no matter how bad of a loss he took was. And even with someone like Ja Rule, who was considered to be the biggest loser of a rap beef ever before Drake, we really have to look at him differently and give him some sort of props, because this is something that even he would never do. And so with this, altogether, as this is the point we are at, where really compared to any other loss in rap beef history, Drake doesn't just make those losers look like winners, but he makes them look like all-time greats. This really is the moment that is going to change everything in Drake's career in a way that we have never seen before. As now, since he sent out papers that are not just showing that he really is the biggest sore loser there ever has been, but that he is really trying to actively betray and ruin hip-hop and the nuance and creativity that rap music as an art form has always stood for, at this point there is no longer any chance Drake is ever making a comeback, as no matter what he does going forward, as his recent move is now trying to change the rules of rap music, there is no longer a way he can redeem himself. And now, while Drake's case is being treated as a joke to everyone right now for the most part, because it is the most anti-hip-hop thing that has ever been put into reality, and just the concept of something like this existing is just so wild, if this gains any traction somehow, and as Drake and his fans try to push the narrative that he is in the right, it will end up having horrible effects on everything, not just in rap, but music and entertainment as we know it. But at least right now, as everything stands, Drake winning this thing is nearly going to be impossible, because everything he is presenting to us is just so obviously false. And so really going forward, it seems like this choice Drake made over everything else will really mark the actual end of his career and will ruin whatever legacy was left as well. Because for doing something this bad to all of hip-hop, it really takes away from everything else you have ever done as a whole. And so now, with all of this said, let me know, what do you think about this horrible move from Drake, and where do you think all of this is going to end up going? Well, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about one of the biggest moments we will ever witness as rap and music fans, and if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And now, if you want to see how right before this Drake solidified his title as the most pathetic rapper of all time as well, check out the suggested video.